gents, how the devil? Well, I've talked about this enough over the last week or two, haven't I? It's about as obvious as Godzilla in a yellow shell suit. Glenn Youngkin, Republican, seizes the lead in Virginia governor race. I love the language they've used there as well, by the way. Seizes the lead. I'm sure if it was the Democrat, it would have been gently takes the lead, carefully eases into the lead. Glenn Youngkin, he seized it, suggesting some form of nefarious schemes by the dastardly Red Devils. Let's have a quick read of the BBC's spin on it, shall we? There's Mr. Youngkin, who has focused his campaign on education issues. Yeah, no shit, because he's obviously not a complete imbecile. And a Japanese fighter from the Second World War who's just emerged from the jungle after 60 years and still thinks he's got to fight the damn Yankees. He would be able to tell you that when parents get told by an overbearing governor that they shouldn't be worrying about what crazy far-left demagogues are teaching their children when they're getting educated by the state, even he could tell you, yeah, I think this is going to piss people off. It would have pissed people off in feudal Japan, ancient Rome, or Victorian Britain. Parents are a little bit fond of the children. Yeah, controversial to say it, I know. Parents are fond of their children. And when they feel as if their children are having their heads crammed full of useless, pointless shit that will turn them from well-rounded, reasonable individuals into naive, collectivist, activist nutters, it pisses them off. You don't have to be a visionary sociologist to get this, do you? Says Republican Glenn Youngkin has a commanding lead in the Virginia governor's election, widely seen as a referendum on Joe Biden's presidency. Widely seen. No, it is. It is a referendum on Joe Biden's presidency because he won that state. That state's been blue for 10 years. McAuliffe also served as governor from 2014 to 2018 and saw his opinion poll lead vanish in recent weeks. Oh, weird that, isn't it? Weird when burly labourers are using the women's restrooms in the local schools. Yeah, a bit weird that. I'd be a bit alarmed if Babs Cabs started talking about getting cock off in front of 12-year-old girls. Yeah, it'd worry me as well. Funny old thing. The race is too early to call, but Mr. Youngkin was comfortably ahead as results tickled in. A Democratic loss in a state that Mr. Biden won by 10 points just a year ago would unnerve his governing party. No shit, Sherlock Holmes. If he wins, he'll be the first Republican elected since 2009. Mr. McAuliffe campaigned on cultural issues such as abortion rights and voting reform, which is a fancy way of saying we want to be able to cheat, right? If the state offers everybody that wants one a free ID, there is no such thing as voter suppression. It would be voter suppression if they said, right, if you want to vote, you have to run a 30-mile endurance marathon, climb to the voting office at the top of this very large mountain, and then crawl 100 feet across broken glass to cast your ballot. I would agree, that would be voter suppression. But telling everyone that asks, of course you can have a free ID, sir, is not voter suppression. It doesn't matter how you dress it up. It wouldn't be voter suppression if the voting booth was very, very small and staffed entirely by dwarves. If you haven't got the brains to get a free ID and then the motivation to walk to the voting booth, that you don't deserve to vote. You're too lazy and stupid. And if you're so lazy and stupid you can't manage either of those things, seriously, you shouldn't be allowed to live on your own. You should be wearing Velcro shoes and living in a padded cell, having mashed banana brought to you twice a day by a registered nurse. So don't talk to me about fucking voting reform. You want to be able to legally cheat, you sneaky rat bastards. According to exit polls, education and school curriculum were top issues for slightly more than half. So he's fucked then. He's fucked. And Bungalow Biden's approval rating's fallen to 43%. In other elections, New Jersey's Democratic Governor Phil Murphy's in the dead heat, with the Republican Jack Ciattarelli. Eric Adams expected to replace Bill de Blasio, who's another one who's got a fake. Have you noticed this? How weird this is? Bill de Blasio's real name, he sounds like a relative of the Kaiser. Look, his actual name is Warren Wilhelm Jr., which is really, really weird, isn't it? Why is it, Warren Wilhelm, that Democrat politicians pretend to be ethnic minorities if it's so fucking good being a white person and you're so privileged, even though you're 6 times less likely to go to university if you're unlucky enough to be on free school meals? If it's so good being a straight white man, why is Warren Wilhelm Jr. and Pocahontas Warren just 2 of many white people that are pretending that there's some sort of ethnic minority? Beto O'Rourke as well. Beto O'Rourke. He's called Robert. He's more Irish than me. Why does he insist on trying to make himself sound like he's a fucking Mexican roofer? Well, I'll tell you why. Because they know it's bollocks, and we know it's bollocks. That's why. Oh yeah, and in Minneapolis, voters are deciding whether to replace the police department. Replace the police department? What, with what? A social services task force. Yeah, there's one of AOC's bright ideas. We don't need cops. We need social workers. Okay, social worker. There is a 6'5" lubed up cage fighter having a schizoid episode where he's convinced anyone who comes within 10 feet of him is his arch rival jiu-jitsu competitor. Go on, love. Go and have a quiet word with him. I'd fucking love to see that. Honest to God, what do they think you can replace police officers with? An elite team of soft-skinned gender studies graduates. Yeah, good luck with that. What would they have done with the bank robbers on Heat? Look out! Accurate fire from 3 long-barreled weapons. I need a feminist slam poetry team. Stat! It's comedy gold. Honestly, it writes itself. Well done, Mr. Youngkin. Looks like he's got it in the bag. Of course, I could wake up to hear stories about another 20 bin liners of ballots getting set on fire in a wheelie bin, and he could lose it at the last. You never know. Considering we seem to barely live in a functioning democracy anymore, you never know. But it looks like Youngkin's nailed it, so well done to him. Going up against that ridiculous brain-dead communist, frankly, I think the Republicans could have ran a brain in a glass box against him and they would have won. Put a MAGA hat on a brain suspended in amniotic fluid and it probably would have beat him. That's a result, hopefully one of many. It's time the far left were put back in their box, because they need to remember, just because they control the mainstream media and formally reputable institutions like the New York Times doesn't mean they have broad popular support. They are in a tiny minority, and it's about time they accepted the fact. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Take it easy.